There we go. All right, we are now recording. So again, for this training, I'm going to be referencing my YouTube page. It's youtube.com/the little @ math and macros. When you get there, hit playlists and then hit leg day, and you're going to see all these things that I'm showing you today. There's lots of other playlists on there as well, like different exercises for like back day and arm day and whatever. But there's also all of these Facebook lives that we have done are also there. So you can go back and watch any of those that you want. They're also in the Facebook group too. If you check the featured post, you'll see up one post with a whole bunch of those on there. So we're going to start by talking about ways to think about how to structure your leg day workout. And so essentially what I'm getting at there is know your goals. Okay. What are your goals for your workout? So is your goal just overall general strength? Is it to improve any specific weaknesses that you might have? Is it to grow a certain body part, like maybe a squat booty, anything like that? So having a good grasp of your goals is going to allow you to build the best workout for you that's going to actually potentially meet your goals. So I always get asked, how often should we change our workouts? And I always suggest that you keep the same workouts for at least 4 weeks, preferably 6 to 8 weeks is even better. You want to keep the same exercises long enough so that you're able to actually see progress on those specific exercises. Like, are you able to add weight to it? Are you able to add reps or slow down your tempo, things like that? And you want to do these long enough to see if it's benefiting you and your body. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time, right? So when you change your workouts every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, because you're following whatever Instagram influencer that you happen to follow, you're not doing yourself any favors because you're never giving your body enough time to actually respond and grow to these exercises, but you're also not giving yourself time to see if you're even making any progress with those particular exercises. So it's never good to change things all the time. Stick with it for at least a little while so that you can see the fruits of your labor. This is also why boot camp style training does not usually produce the types of results that most people are expecting, because boot camps have a whole lot of cardio. They wear you out and make you tired, but are they really doing anything else? And then also they change their exercises all the time. So you don't really ever get to actually do the same thing long enough to see if you're even making any progress with it, or even do it long enough to get good at it. That's another thing. If you're not getting good at that exercise, and you're probably not getting any benefit from it, and if you're changing it all the time, how can you ever get good at it? So stick with things for at least 4 weeks. Ideally 6 to 8 weeks is even better, particularly if your goals include overall fitness and health. With my power lifters, I tend to program things sometimes in like 4-week chunks for them, because they are very strength specific in what we're doing. And usually it's exercises that are targeted very specifically to improve a certain deficit on their squat, bench, or deadlift. But if you're not an athlete and doing anything specific like that, working in phases of 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks is going to be ideal for you. All right. So one thing I'm not going to do in this video is I'm not going to talk about how to structure an entire week's worth of workouts. I actually already did that a couple of weeks ago when we did how to build a home workout. And I did make a guide that went with that one. So if you missed that, or if you want the guide for that, leave me a comment and I'll get that guide to you. But in this training, I'm only focusing specifically on your leg day, just that one day. So let's talk about how you can put together your next 6 to 8 weeks of leg day training, starting with your warm-ups. Devin had asked a question about warm-ups. So your warm-ups for not just leg day, for any of your days should always be dynamic, meaning that you're moving, your joints are moving. We're not doing static stretches where we're just sitting still. You want to make sure you include movements that are similar to whatever you're going to be doing once you start the actual workout. So for leg day, you want to consider warming up all of your joints, including your hips, your knees, and your ankles. And when you warm up at those joints, you are by default automatically warming up those muscles around that joint. So for your hips, exercises like gate openers are great. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute on the YouTube page. I have a video for that. And then also things like body weight glute bridges are also really great for your hips. And when you're working your hips, you're not only getting that joint warmed up, but you're also generally usually working your glutes and all the muscles around your hips. When you do those glute bridges, make sure you squeeze at the top for a second. Don't do them too fast. All movements. I just actually posted a reel in the group the other day about making sure that we're slowing down our movements. There's no race to get through this. Take it slow, get a really good squeeze, feel the burn of the workout. Now for your hips, knees, and ankles, things like body weight squats are great. Especially another thing that gets missed a lot are side lunges. And those often get skipped, or we just forget about them when we miss. And it's important to make sure that you're moving in all planes of motion. We're really good at moving up and down, right? We do squats, or even lunges are like forward, up and down. We don't often go side to side. And when you miss those side to side movements, whether it's warm-ups or just weighted exercises, we're doing a really big disservice to our tendons and ligaments all around our joint. And we're asking for overuse injuries because we are always moving this way, right? Forward and back, up and down is all we ever move. We want to make sure we're moving in all the ways to strengthen everything all the way around, all of the tendons and ligaments all the way around the joints, to not only make everything much stronger, but also, like I said before, prevent overuse injuries like tendonitis and things. Now, static stretching. I briefly mentioned static stretching a minute ago. Static stretching is the kind of stretching that we do when you just basically lean into a muscle for a long time and feel it stretch out. This is not something you want to do at the beginning of your workout. You want to do static stretches at the end of your workout after your muscles are warm. Too much stretching before the workout has been shown in research to actually have a higher potential of causing injury once you add weight, because the muscles are looser and whatnot. And when you add weight, it can cause injury. So we want to save those for the end. Now, with that said, though, you absolutely can stretch something for just a few seconds. I always like to kind of stretch my toes. I warm up my hamstrings and then touch my toes and things before I do squats and deadlifts. Just for a few seconds briefly, that's absolutely fine. Go for it, especially if it feels good to you. But we don't want to do any long hold stretches until the end of your workout. And they're actually really great to do at the end of the workout because your muscles are already warm and they can stretch better. So do that stretching at the end. Some yoga stretches and things are great for that. So now that we've talked about warm-ups, let's talk about the main workout. So starting every workout with a compound exercise is ideal. And compound exercises are ones where you're using more than one joint. And when you use more than one joint, like we mentioned with warm-ups, you're innately using more than one muscle as well. So these types of exercises are going to be the most taxing on your body because you are using multiple muscles at once. And so you want to do those at the beginning before you get tired. You don't want to tire yourself out with something that's only working one muscle, and then you can't do your compound exercises as well or with as much weight. So you want to start with the compound before you get tired. These are also really great for saving time because you are working more muscles at once. You can get a lot more accomplished in a shorter period of time. So a couple of examples of compound movements for leg day include all types of squat variations, lunge variations, and step-ups. Those are just three. There's lots, but there's just three. And you can absolutely do more than one compound exercise per workout. Or you can even, your entire workout can be made up entirely of compound exercises. That's always fine too, especially if you're in a time crunch. Because like I said before, those use more than one muscle. So if you only have like 30 minutes to work out, making your workout consist of mostly compound exercises or compound movements is going to help you hit all of your muscles much more quickly than if you were doing things in isolation, one muscle at a time. So yesterday in the group, I asked a question on our Mythbusters Tuesday post. I asked if this was a myth or a fact. It said, when doing lunges, you should never let your knees go past your toes. Everybody who responded said that this is not a myth, that it is true. And the correct answer is, I had a drum roll. It is a myth. It is not true. This myth began 40 years ago, or over 40 years ago, in 1978. I don't want to admit that that's the year I was born. So I know exactly how many years ago that was. Over 40 years ago, in 1978, there was a study that said that keeping a vertical lower leg would reduce the forces that are on your knee. What we have learned in the last 40, 4 years, is that yes, putting your knee over your toe does increase, knees over toes does increase the force on the knee by 28%. However, when we are preventing our knee from going over our toe, we actually increase the force on our hips by 1000%. Right? That is not a typo. I did not say that wrong. Knees over toes increases the force on your knee by 28%. So that may make you go, we don't want to do that. But then when they continue this study and look into the hips, doing that increases the force in your hips by 1000%. For this reason, we no longer tell people do not let your knees go over your toes. Only in very special circumstances around things like knee surgery and whatnot. Most of us do not fall into that category. So preventing your knee from going over your toe can oftentimes cause a lot more harm than good. So let those knees go. Think about it. When you go upstairs, when you stand up from a chair, when you squat down to pick something up, your knees are going over your toes all the time. There's nothing wrong with your knees going over your toes. And like I said before, preventing your knees from going over your toes is actually putting way more force on your hips and can cause more harm than good. So let that knee go. It almost has to in certain situations when you think about it. So I want to now take a look on my YouTube page at some different squats and lunges that you can do, talking about these compound movements. So give me one quick second here to share my screen, because like I've said before, you know what happens when old people try to use technology. Let's see. Oops. Here we go. Oh, I have 2 screens. And I have a Mac when I am actually a PC girl. I've had a Mac now for right about a year. It was last December that I got it, and I'm still not completely used to it. Okay, hold on. Share screen. Desktop. Share. All right. We should be. There we go. All right, so here's my head here in the way. I'm gonna move my head over here. Okay, so I said that I want to show you some squat and lunge variations. So on my YouTube page, here's the leg day playlist. The YouTube page is youtube.com/@math and macros. And then you'll go to playlists and hit leg day, and you're going to see all of these things here. There's a whole bunch. And I mentioned earlier in the warm-ups, the gate opener. So that's this one here. It's actually probably going to go to an ad. Oh, see, I knew it. We're not going to bother with that. Video will play after the ad. You can, that's where it is. You can see the gate openers for hip warm-up. And I want to show you, though, like I said, some squat and lunge variations. So actually, this is a step up. There's a video for how to do a step up. And I believe I might have put one in a newsletter not too long ago, too, I believe. So if you get my newsletter, if you're on my mailing list, go back and look at those. I think that there was one on a link to that as well. It's a different video than this one. But I can double check for sure if I sent that out. So anyway, this is, it's just 48 seconds. It talks about making sure you push through your heel, not through your toe, and explains why, things like that. Then we have a box squat, and this one is just a body weight box squat, but you can certainly add a dumbbell or a kettlebell up here, and I'll just let this play while I talk. So you want to make sure your feet are about hip width apart or so. A box squat, you're literally just sitting down and standing up. So you're not sitting back. And every time you stand up, squeeze your butt. Okay. And then there's a sumo squat, which is very wide, toes pointed out, wide, knees tracking over your toes. And that's going to also work not only your quads on the front of your thighs, but your inner thighs. Sumo type positions work that, as well as your butt. And then, this one is just how to properly unrack a bar. If you're going to do barbell squats, look at my feet in this video. Don't do that. This is a no, don't do that. And then, and then here's what to do. See, both of my feet are next to each other. I stand straight up and then I back out carefully. So if you're going to do barbell squats, that's a good one. We have heel elevated, and these are heel elevated narrow stance. So you can put your heels up and have your feet normal, or you can bring your feet very close together. And this really works your quads and things. And when you have your heels up, it allows you to get more depth. You can get your butt down a little bit lower than you would when your heels are flat. And that's ideal. We want to go through full range of motion as much as we can. Okay. Now some lunges. I mean, this is, oh, did I do incline reverse lunge twice? My bad. I sure did. I wanted just to do a regular reverse lunge, but that's okay. An incline reverse lunge, I'm up and I'm reversing back. Reverse lunges tend to be a little easier on the knees. If you have knee problems, they tend to not cause so much pressure in that going forward movement on the knee. You can add the incline to make them more difficult, or you can do those flat on the ground. Then we have a kind of a cross between a squat and a lunge. This is a split squat. And this is a flat dumbbell split squat, not Bulgarian. You might have seen Bulgarian split squats where your back leg is up on something. These are where your feet are both on the ground. And it's similar to a lunge movement, except you're not moving forward and back. You're not stepping forward and back like a lunge. You're just keeping yourself in one place and squatting down. Think about that back knee touching the ground, keeping your chest up high. You can do that body weight or with a dumbbell. I also threw in leg press because you absolutely might be at a gym that has equipment. A lot of these that I'm showing are specific to home workouts, or you can do them at the gym too. But if you have equipment like a leg press machine, I've also got a video on here that talks about all the different foot placements and where you can put your feet and what muscles that's going to work. So you can check that out. And then we're back to the main playlist. So next on here, so those are all the compound movements. You can do just compound movements the whole time. That's absolutely fine. But if you have more time, or if you are specifically targeting a very certain specific muscle, then you want to add accessory or isolation movements. And on this playlist, I've got a lot of isolation things for glutes, for hips, for calves, like the foot elevated hip bridge is a good one. Clamshells and kickbacks, a lot of these are with resistance bands. And then this is also the work those hips, are 3 different exercises for your hips with resistance band. Here's the regular reverse lunge that I meant to show earlier. Glute bridges, lots of different things here. Here's some more squats, some progressions towards doing your first pistol squat, one-legged squat. There's 2 different progressions there. Hip thrusts are great. Hip thrusts are actually compound because they work at the hips, knees, and at the ankles. So you can kind of see all these different things here. Some calf raises are isolation, just work your calves. And there's some things like kickbacks, all kinds of stuff here. Sumo squats, pulse lunges. Ooh, those are going to burn. There's the Bulgarian split squat I mentioned earlier, where you have the back leg up. And here's a barbell hip thrust video. So there's all kinds of stuff in here for you to look at. Now, if you're at a gym, though, you can get some isolated movements with, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, actually. You can get your isolated movements in with machines like your leg curl, leg extension. That's going to work your hamstrings and your definitely not your calves, hamstrings and your quads, and things like that. So if you are in a gym, there's lots of extra machines and things you can do to add to your leg day that is not on my YouTube page. So like I said, not an exhaustive list, but a great starting point. Remember, start with a warm-up in all planes. We want you moving side to side, up, down, all the different directions. Start with adding in compound movements like step ups or lunges or squat variations. You can do lots of different variations of all of those things if you wanted. And then add in accessory exercises if you're not in a time crunch, things like calf raises, things like glute bridges, and things that target one specific muscle group. And just think about making sure that you get each muscle in there. So you want to feel it on the front of your thighs. You want to feel it on the sides. A lot of those side steps and the banded things are great for your glutes and on the sides of your thighs. Sumo, going wide, helps you get your inner thighs. And then, the caps and things too. So let me know if you would like the guide that I made, not to this. I don't have a guide for this one because the guide is essentially my YouTube page. But let me know if you would like the guide from a couple weeks ago where I did build your own home workout. That also links to the YouTube page and some exercises. So I'm happy to send that out if you didn't get that yet. And make sure you head over to the YouTube page and give me a follow over there. I always appreciate that. And then I want to know what other lives you want to see. I am working on planning out the rest of 2022, and I would love your input. I would love to hear topics that you want to hear about to wrap up this year. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. Remember, if you're watching this, to like it, heart it, give me a comment, say or do something on this, this video so that more people can see it. And I will see you all soon. I hope you have a great week. Don't forget to eat your protein. Don't forget to drink your water and be adventurous and try something new. I'll see you soon.